How to Save the World and Other Things on My To-Do List. One Woman's Totally Serious Guide to Inner World Domination by Lizzie Allan, Creator of Hilarapy. Chapter 9. Live It. There is a difference between knowing something and living it. You can read every chapter of this book. You can speak the affirmations, feel inspired, feel expanded, feel like something is genuinely shifting, and all of that matters. But this only works, really works, in the way that changes the actual texture of your life if you make it your job to live it. Not just in the morning when the coffee is hot and the world is quiet and you feel ready. Not just when everything is going your way, but in the middle of your day, in your conversations, in your reactions, in the moments that feel messy and inconvenient and not remotely aligned. In the supermarket queue, in the difficult phone call, in the moment someone says something that presses right on the oldest, sorest part of you. That's where this work becomes real. Before we go any further, say this out loud. I live this work daily. I do not leave my mind to old patterns. I bring awareness into my life. I align in every moment. I choose my response. I am not just learning this, I am living it. Take a breath, because that's a different kind of commitment to what we've talked about before. That's not just morning practice, that's a whole way of moving through the world. Most people don't lose this work because it doesn't work. They lose it because they drop it. The moment something feels familiar, the moment an old pattern rises, the moment a wave of emotion moves through the body, they go, "Oh, this again. This is just how life is." And just like that, quietly, without even noticing, they hand their power back over. Or they start affirming something new, choosing something different, really meaning it, and then life doesn't immediately reflect it. In fact, sometimes it looks like the opposite. More challenges appear. More things seem to say, "See, nothing's changed." And they believe it. They take what the outside world is showing them and treat it as the final word, as fact, instead of seeing through it. Because here's what's true underneath all of it. Creative intelligence has not stopped working just because your circumstances haven't caught up yet. The law is still operating. The seeds are still growing. But if you only believe what you can currently see, you will always collapse back into the old pattern. Every time. Say this now. I do not collapse into appearances. What I can currently see is not the whole picture. Something is still moving beneath the surface. Something is still being taken care of. I trust what I cannot yet see. I stay with this work even when the results aren't visible yet. I stay with it, especially then. My consistency in the unseen is what creates the seen. I hold the vision. And this. I am not discouraged by what hasn't arrived yet. I am encouraged by what I know is in motion. I trust the process completely. I stay. Here's what it looks like in real time. Something happens, someone says something, a situation doesn't go your way, a bill arrives, a conversation goes sideways, and your old thinking steps straight in, quick as anything, ready with its familiar script. The story begins, the meaning-making starts. This is bad. This always happens to me. Here we go again. Pause. Right there. That's your moment. Not a dramatic pause, not a perfectly mindful, eyes closed, hand on your heart pause. Just a breath, just a half second of wait. That's the gap between reacting from the old pattern and responding from somewhere new. And the more you practice finding it, the wider it gets. Think about what actually happens in your body when something triggers you. The chest tightens, the jaw clenches, the thoughts start moving fast, building a case, gathering evidence. It all happens so quickly that it feels automatic, like you had no choice, like the reaction just happened to you. But you do have a choice. You always have a choice. You just have to catch it early enough to use it. So you pause, you breathe, you notice. I'm in the pattern right now. Not with judgment, just with clarity. like a kind, steady observer watching the weather roll in. And in that noticing, something loosens. The grip on the story relaxes slightly. And in that small loosening, there is space. Space to ask, is this actually true, or is this just familiar? Space to choose. Do I want to follow this thought, or do I want to choose something different? Not to suppress what you're feeling, not to plaster a smile over something that genuinely hurts, but to pause long enough to see more clearly, to recognize this is not the truth, this is a pattern, and underneath it, something else is still happening, something is still moving, something is still being taken care of. You don't have to collapse into the appearance of things. You can pause and choose again. Say this out loud. I pause before I react. I do not rush into old stories. I give myself the space to see clearly. I choose my response with intention. Then this. Even in difficult moments, I have access to my own wisdom. Even when things feel hard, I can find my ground. I do not have to be swept away. I can pause. I can breathe. I can choose. And this. I see beyond appearances. I trust what is unfolding, even when I can't see it clearly yet. I stay anchored in what I know to be true, even now, especially now. Because this is where your life is actually built, not in your best moments, not when everything feels easy and aligned and flowing, but in your ability to stay anchored in truth regardless of what is happening around you, in your willingness to hold a higher thought in the middle of a lower moment, in the gap between what happens and how you respond to it. That gap, small as it is where your freedom lives. Say this. My life is built in the ordinary moments, in my ability to choose well when it would be easier not to, in my willingness to stay when everything in me wants to default. This is where I am building something real. Not every day will feel expansive. Not every moment will feel aligned or inspired or magical. You are human. There will be days when things feel heavy, where emotions rise, where the fog rolls in and nothing feels particularly clear. And that's okay. This is not about bypassing your experience. Emotions need to move. Energy needs to shift. You are allowed to feel the full spectrum of being alive, but you don't have to build a story around it. You don't have to decide that a hard day means everything is falling apart. You don't have to take a difficult moment and turn it into evidence that none of this works, that you're back at square one, that something is fundamentally wrong. Instead, you can meet the moment differently, through gratitude, through trust, through a quiet, steady knowing, even this is part of the way. Say this now. I trust this moment. I allow my emotions to move through me without building a story around them. I do not make hard moments mean something is wrong. I stay anchored in truth. Life is still working for me, even in this. Then this. I am allowed to feel everything, and I am also allowed to choose how I respond to what I feel. Both things are true. I feel it, and I come back. I feel it, and I choose again. And this. Hard days do not cancel my progress. Difficult moments do not undo my work. I am still on the path. I am still moving forward. Everything is still in motion. I trust this. Let me be honest about something, because this is where people sometimes drift. You say your life is expanding, and maybe you genuinely mean it in the moments when you're feeling it, when the work is alive in you and things feel possible and open. But then something shifts, a hard day arrives, a worry surfaces, and you find yourself in conversation or in your own head going back over the same ground, talking about the money situation again, revisiting the same relationship dynamic, replaying the same frustration about the same thing that hasn't moved yet. Not because you want to stay there, but because it's familiar, because the worry feels responsible somehow. Like if you stop thinking about the problem, you're not taking it seriously. Like there's a part of you that believes keeping your eye on what's wrong is the safe thing to do. But here's what's actually happening when you do that. You are practicing it. You are rehearsing it. You are strengthening those neural pathways every single time you return to that story. And then you wonder why it keeps feeling so real, so present, so immovable. Let me give you a real example of what redirecting actually looks like, because it is not always as clean or as immediate as it sounds. In fact, I am living this right now as I write this book, in the middle of this expansion, in real time. 3 weeks ago, I went to an inner child workshop. I'd been carrying what felt like a nearly frozen shoulder for 2 months. I knew it was tied to this expansion, putting everything into the tour, no plan B, fully committed, no safety net. And my shoulder was in significant pain. The first day of the workshop, I was asking the assistant facilitator for painkillers just to get through. And underneath the physical pain, something else was happening. My mum always told me when I was growing up, if you want to do something, do it off your own steam. She meant it as empowerment. But the version that landed in me, the belief I had been quietly carrying ever since, was something different. Expansion means those I love won't support me. I have to carry this alone. And right on cue, as I was stepping into the biggest expansion of my life, the old story arrived, even with a team around me, even with people showing up. Something in me defaulted to the familiar. You cannot really count on anyone. You have to go it alone. Mistaken proof, but I couldn't see that yet. The memory that surfaced was this. I was 9 years old at my best friend Barney's house. Our mums were upstairs having tea. Downstairs, his older brother had Nightmare on Elm Street on, my first horror film. It was terrifying. At some point, I ran upstairs and climbed onto my mum's knee. From the safety of her lap, I felt bold again, curious, like I could face it if she came with me. I asked her to come and watch it with me. She said, "No, I don't want to see that." So I went back alone. That night, I had the worst nightmare of my life. She hadn't told me not to watch it. She just wouldn't come with me. And that, I realized, was the pattern. As a teenager, if I wanted to do something, I had to do it off my own steam. She might help me with money or a lift occasionally, but mostly I had to figure it out, which meant that from a very young age, I was doing risky things alone. I had learned that support was not something I could count on. So I stopped seeking it. I went back to the workshop on the Sunday. My shoulder had released, completely, because I had done the thing I had been avoiding. I had heard what my inner child was asking for, and I had met her there. Instead of ignoring her, I helped her. I listened, I reassured, and I was given freedom. The mistaken belief had been corrected. Expansion does not mean I carry this alone. I am supported. And then, immediately, the cough arrived. Lungs and throat, in the language of the body, unexpressed grief. My system moving to the next layer, something else wanting to be seen, something else waiting to be seen. Last weekend, I was assisting on an awakening weekend. 3 days, and the cough was significant, persistent, disruptive, impossible to ignore. People kept commenting on it. "Oh, poor you, that sounds terrible." And every time, I felt the pull to tell them how challenging it was, to rehearse the difficulty, to pound the drum of how hard this all felt right now. Instead, I said, "It's unexpressed grief. I'm looking to see what it is." And at one point, when I needed to apologize for coughing during the workshop, I said, "I apologize for my unexpressed grief." It got a laugh, but it also kept me pointed in the right direction, toward the question rather than the complaint, toward curiosity rather than suffering. And then on the Saturday morning of that weekend, something arrived, a wave of grief, sudden, unmistakable, completely specific. My father leaving when I was 2 years old. The thing I apparently had never fully let myself feel the sadness of. Not the story of it, I knew the story. The feeling of it. The actual 2-year-old feeling of watching him go. The workshop had provided the reflection I needed to access what was actually there. And when I felt it, really felt it, instead of carrying it compressed in my lungs and my throat, the weight of the unwellness eased. I am not completely healed as I write this. The cough is still here. The expansion is still happening. The tour still has 12 tickets sold. and the England shows still haven't sold one. All of it is still in motion. The grief is still moving through. And I am choosing daily, sometimes hourly, not to pound the drum of any of it. Not because I'm pretending, not because it isn't hard, but because I have learned through every chapter of this book and every year of this practice that what I rehearse, I strengthen. And I choose to strengthen the vision, the room full, the support that is already here even when I can't always see it, the grief that is moving through rather than staying stuck, the expansion that is happening even when it's uncomfortable. This is not about toxic positivity. It's not about pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Hard things are hard. Challenges are real. You are allowed to acknowledge them. But there is a difference between acknowledging something and living inside it, between naming a challenge and making it your identity, between being honest about where you are and constantly, repeatedly, almost devotionally returning to everything that isn't working yet. And here is the thing I want you to understand about all of it. It is a genuinely weird feeling to have to affirm something you are currently experiencing as its opposite. To say, I am well, and this is showing me something when your body is clearly not well. To say, I am supported when the evidence in front of you looks like the opposite. To say, they love me, even when they're upset. And you are interpreting their upset as proof of the belief you've been carrying since childhood. This is the real test, not the morning practice when the coffee is warm and everything feels possible. Right now, in the middle of it, with the cough and the tickets and the grief and the love and all of it happening at once. That is what living it actually looks like. This work asks you to redirect, not to deny, to redirect, to acknowledge what is and then consciously turn your attention towards what is opening, what is shifting, what is quietly possible, to become someone who notices what is working just as readily as what isn't, to train your eye towards the light rather than always towards the lack. Say this out loud. I choose truth over appearances. I do not collapse into old thinking just because it feels familiar. I stay aligned with what I know. I trust the unseen. I trust the process of my life. Everything is moving in my favor. Then this. I speak about my life with intention. I stop pounding the drum of what isn't working. I redirect my attention to what is opening, what is shifting, what is possible. I talk about my life the way I want it to be. And this. I hold the vision, even when I can't see it, even when it feels far away, even when the outside world is showing me something different. I hold it anyway, because I know the inside always creates the outside, and inside, I am already there. Now here's something nobody really talks about. The moment this stops being work, there comes a point, quietly and without announcement, where you realize you're not trying anymore, not in the effortful remember to do it way. The pause just happens. The redirect just happens. You catch the old thought before it has a chance to fully land, and something in you gently, almost automatically, reaches for something better. Not perfectly, not every time, but enough that you notice. And that's when you know something has genuinely shifted. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in accumulation, in the hundreds of small moments where you chose differently, where you paused instead of reacted, where you came back instead of staying lost, where you held the vision when nothing outside confirmed it. All of those moments stack, they compound, they build something in you that becomes, over time, just the way you are. You stop visiting the work, you become it. And when that happens, when it stops being practice and starts being a way of life, everything around you begins to reflect it. Not because the world changed first, but because you did, quietly, consistently, from the inside out. Say this and really let it land. I am becoming someone who lives this, not just knows it, lives it. It is in my bones now. It is the way I move and speak and respond. I am this work, and this work is changing my life. Then this. Every day I live this more fully. Every day it becomes more natural. Every day the gap between who I was and who I am becoming gets a little wider. I am in motion. I am growing. I am living it. And this. There will come a moment, and it may already be here, where this stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like home, where choosing well is just what I do, where trust is just how I live. I am moving towards that moment with every single choice I make. And finally, this. I did not just read this, I received it. I did not just understand it, I chose it. And now I live it. In every moment, in every conversation, in every breath. This is who I am now. Because you didn't just learn it, you lived it. If you would like to download a free copy of this book, go to my website, lizzieallan.com, and find How to Save the World and download your free copy there. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, share with your friends, because this is a group effort. I'm really glad you're here. I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm out.